Chidi didn't wake up that morning planning to change his life. He woke up irritated. His alarm had rung at 5:30 a.m., but he snoozed it 3 times because he had barely slept. The landlord's voice from the previous evening kept replaying in his head. Chidi, you're a good tenant, but the new rate is the new rate. Everything has gone up. Everything had gone up except his salary. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan turning lazily. His phone buzzed with WhatsApp notifications, muted group chats arguing about politics, crypto tips, church fundraisers. He ignored them. Then his mother called. He knew that tone even before she spoke fully. Chidi, are you busy? That was how she started when there was a problem. School fees for his younger sister had increased. Again. The principal was understanding, but understanding had a deadline. He said the words he always said. I'll handle it. After the call, he sat up slowly. He was 29 years old, project coordinator at a fast-growing tech firm in Victoria Island. From outside, he looked like he was progressing. Inside, he felt like he was constantly one emergency away from collapse. That morning, he dressed carefully. Navy trousers, light blue shirt, brown shoes polished the night before. Presentation day, big client, a logistics company that could bring in a contract large enough to position him for promotion. His boss had made it clear. Don't mess this up. On the drive toward the island, traffic thickened near 3rd Mainland Bridge. Chidi adjusted the AC, checked his slides mentally, rehearsed talking points. He was thinking about promotion, about salary increase, about moving to a better apartment, about finally being the one relatives called for advice instead of assistance. Then he saw the crowd. It wasn't dramatic, just one of those slow circles that form when something inconvenient happens. A danfo slightly angled wrong, a kiki parked awkwardly, and an old man sitting on the concrete barrier holding his ankle. Cars passed like nothing unusual was happening. Chidi glanced, looked away, then looked again. He told himself something practical. Someone else will help. That's how Lagos works. If you stop for everything, you won't survive. His phone buzzed. Client is already here. His jaw tightened. He accelerated slightly. In his side mirror, he saw the old man attempt to stand and fall. That small movement pierced him. He didn't know why. Maybe because it reminded him of his father the year arthritis began slowing him down. Maybe because the man didn't look dramatic enough for attention. Just quiet pain. Chidi exhaled sharply. Not today, he whispered. But his hands were already turning the steering wheel. He pulled over, and in that moment, he unknowingly stepped off one path and onto another. When he reached the man looked up calmly, embarrassed more than distressed. I misjudged the kiki, the old man said before Chidi even asked. I'm fine. You are not fine, Chidi thought. The ankle was swelling visibly. People watched. Nobody moved. Chidi felt irritation, not at the man, but at the silent spectators. Can you stand? The old man tried. Failed. Chidi felt the weight of the decision again. He could still leave. He had already shown concern. That was enough for social conscience. But enough for who? He supported the man's arm. Let's get you to a clinic. The old man hesitated. I don't want to disturb you. You already have, Chidi almost said. Instead, it's fine. It wasn't fine. The clinic detour cost him 40 minutes. The hospital bill swallowed the money he had kept for fuel and the week's groceries. The old man asked for his name. Chidi Okafor. He didn't ask for the man's background. He didn't ask for repayment. He just wanted to leave and salvage his day. But the day was already damaged. When he finally reached the office, his boss didn't shout. He simply stared at him in disbelief. You stopped for a stranger? Yes. And you chose that over a contract we've chased for 6 months? Chidi tried to explain. But explanations don't change missed meetings. 3 weeks later, during restructuring, he was called into HR budget constraints, role redundancy. Thank you for your service. He walked out with a cardboard box and a forced smile. On the bus ride home, something uncomfortable formed inside him. He didn't regret helping, but he regretted the cost. and that tiny seed of conflict would grow in silence. Unemployment exposed things Chidi had never faced. At first, he treated it like temporary inconvenience. He updated his CV, polished LinkedIn, reached out to contacts. Everyone was circling back. 1 month, 2 months. Savings shrinking. He stopped ordering takeout, reduced data subscription, sold his wristwatch, the one he bought after his first promotion. He told no one how bad it was getting. When his mother asked, "Work is fine?" he said, "We're restructuring." He didn't want to look like he had failed, especially not because he stopped for a stranger. Sometimes, late at night, he scrolled through his call log. No message from Mr. Adeyemi, not even, "Hope you're okay." The silence began to feel insulting. He started replaying the bridge moment in his head. What if he had driven on? What if someone else helped? Would his life still be intact? The bitterness didn't explode. It settled slowly. He became less generous. When a neighbor asked to borrow money for electricity units, he lied. "I don't have." He did. But he remembered the clinic bill. He remembered losing his job. Kindness, he began to think, is expensive, and the poor cannot afford expensive virtues. Then the call came. "Is this Chidi Okafor?" "Yes." "This is Adeyemi." For a second, he almost cut the call, but curiosity held him. "I would like to see you." They agreed to meet in Ikeja. Chidi rehearsed what he would say. Maybe the old man wanted to repay the hospital bill. Maybe he felt guilty. Maybe this was closure. He did not expect an offer. "I am building a digital platform," Mr. Adeyemi said calmly over coffee, "for small manufacturers." Chidi stared. Retired old men didn't talk like that. "Why me?" he asked. "Because you stopped." The answer annoyed him. "That cost me my job." "I know." The old man's calmness irritated him more. "You could have intervened." "Yes." The word landed heavy. "But I wanted to see who you are without rescue." The statement lingered. Was this manipulation or wisdom? "I will fund development," Mr. Adeyemi continued. "You will run operations." The salary mentioned was modest. Very modest. It felt like another risk. Chidi went home conflicted. If he accepted, he delayed safer employment. If he declined, he returned to endless applications. That night he sat in darkness. He realized something uncomfortable. He had helped without expectation that day, but now he was calculating return. Was he becoming transactional or just practical? He accepted, and for the first 6 months, he wondered if he had made a catastrophic mistake. Building Bridge Link was harder than any corporate job he had held. Developers disappeared mid-task. Manufacturers distrusted apps. One cooperative chairman told him openly, "You people in tech just want to collect data and sell it." He had no flashy office, just a small shared workspace in Yaba. Sometimes the internet would cut during demos. Sometimes manufacturers would revert to paper records because it felt safer. Revenue was slow, painfully slow. Chidi began questioning Mr. Adeyemi's competence. Was this visionary thinking or delusion? Friends mocked him. "You left corporate to follow one old man?" He laughed publicly. Privately, doubt ate at him. Then something unexpected happened. He discovered that Mr. Adeyemi wasn't as ordinary as he appeared. At a cooperative meeting in Ibadan, when tension rose about digital transition, one elderly distributor stood up and said quietly, "If Adeyemi is involved, I trust it." The room softened immediately. Later Chidi asked, "How do you know him?" The distributor laughed. "You're young." That was all. Chidi began noticing subtle signs. People greeted Mr. Adeyemi with respect. Not fear, respect. But the old man never explained his history. He let Chidi figure things out slowly. Then came the legal threats. A large distribution company accused BridgeLink of unfair bypassing. Letters arrived, lawyers called, manufacturers panicked, revenue dropped sharply, Chidi barely slept. He confronted Mr. Adeyemi. "We need aggressive response. We need integrity." the old man replied. Integrity doesn't win against giants, Chidi thought, but they prepared documentation carefully. No shortcuts, no falsified data. During the regulatory hearing, Chidi felt exposed. If they had cut corners anywhere, it would surface. But they hadn't. The complaint was dismissed. Quietly. Later, Chidi overheard one official say, Adeyemi's word carries weight. That was the first time he understood something critical. The old man's reputation was not loud. It was layered, and reputation takes decades to build. One small ethical compromise now could erase everything. That night, alone in his apartment, Chidi thought back to the bridge again. He realized something else. If he hadn't stopped, he would never have entered this world of quiet influence. He would still be chasing promotions. Instead, he was learning something harder. Character compounds. Slowly. Invisibly. But powerfully. And yet, the hardest test was still ahead. Because just when Bridgeling began stabilizing, his mother collapsed. And this time, kindness would not be theoretical. It would demand something real. And what he chose next would determine not just the company's survival, but the kind of man he was becoming.